All right.
Yes, indeed.
We didn't get the chance to tell you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's the first time we've hooked up since then. So I'm Jared, by the way.
Hi, Josh. Good to be here, brother.
What's going on?
Man, what's up?
All kind of crazy news going on this week.
Yeah, man.
Just with Atlanta stuff alone, you had Braves players that had left or returned home, and some that I didn't see coming have made their way here.
Yeah, man.
So I was, just excited, to see. We just got the news, that Brian McCann was back for 1 year. I'm pretty sure he's probably just gonna. I don't know if he's gonna retire after the season or what, or if he'll make it through the year or not. But he'll be here, and then Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, man.
Is. I can't tell you for sure, but I want to say he's just kind of holding the spot for somebody. I don't know who's coming up that they see on the horizon to play third, but we've been looking for that guy for a while. So why not get somebody in for a year that can, maybe stick around if they decide to.
I think, excuse me, I think that was a good contract too, man. 23 mil for a year. It's cool. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like interesting mentioning McCann because the guy that was catching for us right before Brian McCann got called up was a dude named Johnny Estrada, who used to play for the Phillies, and I loved Estrada. I was such a huge fan of Johnny Estrada. Then you get this young kid come up from the farm, and as soon as you see him play, it's like, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, I love Johnny, and I'm going to miss Johnny, but I understand. And then Johnny got injured and had to leave the game, and that still sucks. But but it's cool. It made sense. It's kind of the same thing. I loved Johan Camargo, man. I became such a huge fan of his last year, but you signed Donaldson for 1 year, and it's like, man, I ain't mad. I'm going to miss my guy, and maybe he can stick. Maybe he can be a utility guy, or maybe he showed enough last year where someone will give him a nice big contract.
I think so.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm going to miss him, but I'm okay with the signing as well.
Yeah.
It ain't Chris Johnson, thank God. Man, I hated that kid.
Yeah, man, that was. I don't think they were gonna bring him back again. They learned that didn't work out
For real, man.
the second time. Man, it sounded like good news to me because
Yeah.
Brian McCann has that good luck of coming to a team and then getting hot again. So why not be us? I think he's hitching up to a good train.
I think so too, man. I like the idea of because Atlanta's a solid team. We saw them last year. They were quite good.
Yep.
And it's not that they didn't have any veteran presence. They did. But McCann is veteran presence. He's a catcher. He's got his championship now. So I'm with you. If he's coming back just to come back and then hang him up, that's great because it'll be really nice to see him in 1-6 again. And it's super cool. I love that signing. And we just lost Kurt Suzuki. And I was like, oh, I like Kurt, man. But I think he signed for the Nationals, I think. That might not be right. But I'm like, man, I'm going to miss that guy. It's a bummer. And then think 48 hours later, something announced McCann's coming back. And I'm like, well, that worked out for everybody, man. That's great.
Makes a lot more sense.
I love it.
And one of the things too is I listened to an interview with Brian McCann on the Behind the Braves podcast. Y'all can check it out.
Yeah. Ron.
Ron.
Hello, Ron.
I didn't realize how close he fell in with Tyler Flowers. I thought that Brian was long gone before he even showed up, but they played together.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
So they're going to be a good tandem and are going to hang out and chill together. But there's only so many spots on a roster. I mean, we learned that with Christian Bethencourt. I thought that he was going to be the guy for the next several years, and it just it didn't happen. So why not bring Brian back? I hated to see him go in the first place, but it was time for him to go. Try something else and come back.
Yeah, man. Anybody wanting to go play for the Yankees, man, come on.
Yeah, go make that shit up.
Yeah, go do your thing, man. It's totally cool. And then he winds up in Houston as a punishment, and he gets a World Series ring, and that's the greatest thing. That's totally awesome, man.
And he went to the American League, and he didn't do the thing everybody expected him. Well, could still just go over there and DH, and didn't do it.
Yeah,
not to the level that we expected him to. So, to say he's coming back for a year to retire, he's like, y'all, I'm not that old, but you would think being a catcher, it's got to happen sooner or later.
If you want to. Yeah, if you want to, it's okay. That's all that's being said, man. But you're right, especially for someone that didn't DH. I mean, he did, but he was an everyday catcher.
Yeah.
Like every third day when he gets off, they throw him out there. But I found it very interesting that with that Houston team that won a championship, they wound up with the Braves' two catchers there for a moment. and
Yeah.
they got the Evan Gaddis, which he did go to the AL and do what everyone knew he was going to do.
Yeah, that's kind of...
It's neat that it was those two guys. Like, well, good for y'all, man. That worked out super cool.
Got back together.
Yeah, man. That team was a lot of fun. It's weird to discuss that now that it's a year old and we have new World Series champs and all that stuff. But I just don't. The Red Sox are one of those two. They're actually the number one team that if they're on, I don't bother.
Yeah.
So I know they were really good this year, but I don't know anything about them except that J.D. Martinez signed in the offseason and had a real good year. And, who's the other guy? Mookie Betts had a real good year. And I know that, for me, the only story that I even heard anything about was David Price, because Price went up and talked a bunch of crap to Eckersley, so he became public enemy number one, and the media turned on him, and people loved making fun of him and having a good time with, oh, get him out of here, he's a bum. And then he should have won World Series MVP, according to most of the people that I talked to. He didn't, but he should have.
Yeah.
Like, well, good for you, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
But it's the Red Sox winning the championship this year was actually kind of cool because I thought one of the neatest things about the baseball playoffs is when you got to the pennant, when you got to the NLCS and the ALCS, that was 4 division winners, man. I thought that was super cool that teams that actually were good all season. I'm not a big fan of hot at the right time. It's one of the things I'm enjoying about the Eastern Conference Championship in MLS is that's the top 2 teams in the league all year. So that's cool that it's them, man. I don't know about the West. It's cool that it's Kansas City and Portland. That's 2 teams I like. Kansas City, I get the impression that they've got the inside track, but I didn't watch the first game. I think that the first game was in Portland. It was 0-0, so now you're coming back home. You just need one. Interesting stuff. Anyhow, I got real sidetracked there, man. But it's cool. I like when teams that are successful from whistle to gun are the ones that make. The wild cards are fun, but it got a little bit old there for a minute. It seemed like every year in baseball and football, it was always the wild card team because it makes sense. You're hot at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And one of the cool things I got to check out this past weekend, with it being Thanksgiving weekend, and I think the WWE Network trying to hand at show and house shows, is they actually televised Starrcade.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm surprised that I haven't heard anybody complain about, I guess I'll hear it when some of the podcasts I listen to start rolling out, is the sound was terrible.
That sucks.
And it was in somewhere in Cincinnati. I couldn't tell you the arena, but that's something that'll need to be worked on. And other than that, I mean, the show was just kind of like it's what you expect a house show to be. Like, well, nothing too much consequence happened, but it was all right. You know, it'd been a fun show to be at, but not anything you got to rush out and see it, man.
Yeah.
But that was my biggest thing that I took from it. Is like, man, this sounds weird. It doesn't sound like the mics are even going through whatever equipment they need to go through to make you actually be able to hear it. It's kind of echoey, and just not that side of it not very good. So I'm surprised I haven't heard more people complain about that. You know, usually that's the first thing you hear the next day on the dang old YouTube.
Yeah, any technical difficulty on Earth, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's cool. I didn't check that out yet. I was telling the man that we were discussing like Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, and the only one that I really took advantage of was I think pretty much everybody in my family's like we're tiny. It's just my mom and myself and my brother and my brother's wife. And I think the 4 of us have kind of just silently and non-verbally been like, man, let's not do anything this year. I don't know why, man. They are incredibly like generous gift givers, but I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it this year, okay. So I didn't shop for anybody, and I didn't ask anybody to shop for me. I just think we kind of had this weird, because that's not what I meant to discuss anyway, but we just kind of had this thing where it's like, I think that they want to do traveling, and it's like, man, y'all don't have to go buck wild on Christmas, man. Put that in the bank and then use it to go wherever you want to go. It's just, I think it's weird because we have that non-communicative thing, but it's like
when you get to at least my age, it's one of those kind of things like, man, we'll get together and hang out.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's the extent of it.
Yeah,
you don't have to bring gifts. We kind of leave that I have some nephews.
Exactly.
And save it for the kids.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is that Bethany, my sister-in-law Bethany, I don't know the exact number of brothers and sisters she has, but it's a big family, and they all have children. So it's like, yeah, man, it's exactly what you're saying. They've got other people to buy for, so it's like that's actually much cooler to just let them do that.
I've got my stuff, and I'll go get my stuff when I want it, so you don't have to do anything like that.
Exactly.
One of the problems we run into with at least with our get-togethers is that always goes in as what's implied, but then somebody's going to break that rule, and then you're going to show up and, well, I couldn't be the one person to not bring something.
Yeah, for real, man.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So
I understand there are people that just love buying gifts for their friends and stuff like that. So I get that, but I'm with you. You can do that. I shouldn't tell people how to do their stuff, but you can do that privately. I get if you really just want to go get somebody. Sometimes you just do that, but we've discussed that for years, man, that doesn't have to be a set day. If you see something, somebody would like it. It's really fun to just buy it then. And then you go over to the house and, hey, you got any chicken and dumplings, by the way?
Here you go.
It's fun, man. That's cool.
So this made me think of you.
I found this Patty LaBelle pie on the markdown rack, and I done ate mine. You want this one?
There you go.
For real. I'm going to have this one, but this is your gift, as I'm telling you, they still got them.
There you go.
There you go.
Ah.
That's right. You can watch me eat this one if you like.
So that half already gone.
Man, can I get some of that pie? No. No, my brother. You have to buy your own markdown rack at Walmart.
Hey, I got a food review. I actually made it out and tried the chicken and waffles at KFC this weekend.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was exactly what I kind of expected. I mean, the chicken you've already had. You either like it or you don't. You know going in how that's going to be. And then
I was really disappointed in this KFC chicken.
yeah, and the dish is chicken and waffles. And I got chicken and waffle, and that's fine. But I'm like, you got to make this go a little bit further. But I guess really a part of it is that's kind of a dish that was always made to be had at this time of night. Whenever you're watching this, it was made to be had in midnight. 11:30 midnight on into early morning, and if you're not having it then, I mean, it kind of loses something.
Yeah, man.
You can't just have it any old time.
The folklore I've always heard about chicken and waffles is that it was I want to say San Francisco kind of thing. It might have been LA, but it was somewhere out west. And you would get musicians coming in the middle of the night, and half of them wanted dinner and half of them wanted breakfast.
Yeah,
so it's exactly like you said.
Too late for dinner, too early for breakfast.
Yeah.
Let's have a little bit of both.
Yes, exactly like you said. They would split the difference on the menu, and then everybody would cross pollinate, and it just became a thing. I'm with you. I do love it, but I haven't tried the KFC version, but it's like I told Jared, man, if you are fortunate enough to live in this state, which is the epicenter of the Waffle House, and it is also the home base
to improve upon.
It's also the home base of Chick-fil-A. Dude, go get you some nuggets. Get you a waffle. It's fantastic. That's the way I like to do it because I'm all about that mess.
So I was nervous about them trying to do both anyway, and I kind of expected it to be that, like, be a waffle nugget fry kind of thing, and you just get like the one, little one. And like that's fine enough, but and it wasn't terrible. It's just one of those kind of deals like, this just. Maybe chicken and waffles is kind of like that chasing the dragon kind of thing where maybe it's never going to be as good as the first time I had it. Because the first time I had it, that place, from what I understand, doesn't exist anymore.
It's Gladys and Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out the door. It sucks.
They're gone. They've been gone.
It's ridiculous, man, because Gladys and Ron was probably the fourth or fifth time I'd done chicken and waffles. And it was cool because that's what they did there. But the man said to hear me whine about this since the time we went there. First of all, we had a brilliant idea about when you go in the entrance door, it says enter.
Yeah.
How much cooler would it be if when you walk out the exit door, it doesn't say exit, but instead says leaving? It was like, that would have been so much cooler. So that was our first thing that we noticed about the place. Well, actually, we noticed that second because we were leaving for real, man. But the thing that I remember the most about Gladys and Ron's is, we're talking about like the first time you have something. And this is probably the 10 millionth time I've eaten this in my life. Those are the best collard greens I've ever had. And I really like collard greens. And Texas Roadhouse has good ones as far as just going into an establishment and ordering them. But man, I could not believe how much I loved
They had an
Gladys and Ron's
appetizer.
collards.
It was a collard green spring roll.
Yeah.
That you could order. That's what was awesome about it.
Yeah.
And you get there, and one of the things that was kind of odd about Gladys and Ron's is I don't know, two white boys showing up on the middle of the night on a Saturday night. You're gonna get sit in the back. That's fine. I don't care. And then it would be like cash only, and you're kind of like, man, y'all need to advertise this a little bit more.
Yeah, that part messed me up too because I didn't even think to look.
Yeah.
It worked out totally okay. It's just like thank goodness it worked out okay. But now the cool thing about sitting in the back is you're right by the kitchen. Every time they start,
I loved it.
It's an upside. We noticed this actually is that's how I should have approached it. Was like one of the conversations we had about the positive. Is anytime anybody busts that door open and comes on out, you smell the kitchen. Yeah, it's like it was awesome, man. Like. I'm sorry, I totally approached it the wrong way. What I meant to illustrate was that you ain't complaining. But yeah, it was totally cool.
And one of the things that's the waffles there were so good.
They were good.
The chicken was already awesome. You know it's going to be done right. But that's when there's in the first season of Man vs. Food, he goes there when they stop in Atlanta, and it's one of the things I always like. Throw stuff at the TV when he's like back there in the kitchen, like, oh, they're making these waffles that has that malted kind of flavor. Like, you mean like a waffle cone? And that's what made these so good. It was like straight up, malted. You could put ice cream at it if you wanted to. You could do anything you want to. They just happened to do it with chicken and syrup.
Flattened syrup, buddy. It's good.
So that might be part of my. It's not that KFC did anything bad with it. It's just that, man, it's never going to be as good as the first time I had it.
Yeah, I can dig that, man.
And and possibly maybe it would be better with because I got the tender version. You can get it with their regular chicken, and something about chicken on the bone with that dish makes it a little bit better.
See, it's different. That's the reason I actually prefer the Chick-fil-A version because I'm just not a bone-in kind of guy unless my bone-in chicken is literally wings. That's it. That's the only thing I want to mess with bones with but that's my brother and I get in that conversation all the time. My brother's a huge wing eater.
It's hard. I shouldn't say it's better. It's different.
But it's different. You're absolutely right. And that was something, interestingly enough, I was going to mention about Gladys and Ron's. Is it is bone-in chicken because, like you said, man, that's the traditional way of serving it. So it's different. But my brother and I are constantly. One of the things it's just awesome. One of those. There's certain things that just make you nuts for just like stop saying that. Don't do that. And it's ridiculous, but it's fun. The expression "boneless wing" drives my brother insane. And he's exactly right because of exactly what you're talking about, man. It's just they are totally different. And the boneless wing, which is just a nugget with sauce on it, still tastes good. It tastes just fine. I ain't dissing the chicken.
I feel too juvenile ordering nuggets and sauce.
That's exactly where boneless wing came from. It's like, okay, here's your boneless wing. It's like people don't want to be the chicken tender kid, but we are. That's who all of us are, man. Embrace.
I have no problem with it.
For real. It's like, let's embrace it. It's fine, guys. But yeah, man.
I'll take whichever nuggets you don't want and give them here.
Give here.
With that pecan pie.
Now that I've cleaned out half my Patty LaBelle pie, I'm going to fill up the tin with nuggets.
Cinnamon syrup, baby. Listening to Teddy Pendergrass, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's hard to get off Teddy. Nothing says Thanksgiving like Teddy Pendergrass. So that's what's going on there.
Sorry about that.
We were discussing earlier. I absolutely loathe Christmas music. So there's one Christmas album that I listen to. It's the old Phil Spector album with Darlene Love, and it ain't just her. It's all the groups, but the Darlene Love song is the big one. Which, interestingly enough, somebody, and I should remember what company it is, but I don't. But somebody has finally put that song in a Christmas ad, again, I should say. But just with everything in the world being 80s, 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 80s. Let's recycle the 80s and talk about the 80s, and let's resell you the 80s because the 80s, and I get it, we're like, supposed to have children. And it's not like, it's weird when I'm 38. When you're 38, you are no longer anyone's target demographic, but you are damn sure the target nobody talks about because of who you're supposed to be. And so, oh man, get the family back together. Buy the kids what they want for Christmas. Here's Darlene Love. And it surprises me that it's taken that long. Maybe it's just taken me that long to notice. But it surprises me that it's taken that long because of Gremlins. Now, I know a Darlene Love's tune is hardly an 80s thing, but Gremlins definitely is. And the beginning of that movie, you just can't miss it, man. It's cool. But something about, it's more of that nostalgia stuff. because movies made in the 80s had a nostalgic throwback to the 60s, and that's how come you wind up with the Ronettes at the beginning of Dirty Dancing. And I mean, it was appropriate too for the setting, but anyway, all that Phil Spector stuff is great. Phil's one of those psychos that did nutty stuff, but it's the reason I know that we're supposed to swear off the work of anyone whom we disagree with personally, but excuse me, it's awful hard. Phil Spector, Miles Davis, Woody Allen, these are very difficult people for me to turn off. They just are, man.
Yeah.
It's a lie if I suggest otherwise.
Man, it's Darlene Love, and she would show up. It was like a yearly tradition. She would do "Baby Please Come Home" on the Letterman show.
Yeah, man.
And so that was what I always think of with her. And then I think she had another song on that album. It might have been one with just her, that Marshmallow World song that I used to despise, but I've come around on. I didn't realize that's her too.
Yeah, man.
I was like, man.
It's something.
Did it all the holidays.
Something about that one when Target busted that one out a couple of years ago for that ad. For some reason, I really liked that ad, so I'm with you. It's like I got into that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for the most part that album is all the big groups, the Ronettes, and for Pete's sake, I think Bobby Sox is on there, and the Crystals, the big ones, man.
Yeah.
And then you're right, Darlene Love's got the two. I think they were I don't know. It's just probably the two biggest things on there. I don't know. I think it's. Oh man, I saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus was huge on there, but it seems like I'm gonna get it wrong. I think that was the Crystals though. I don't know. Ronnie Spector sounds like Ronnie Spector, so what I have in my head doesn't sound like hers. So I don't think that was it. Anyway, got sidetracked.
To like Christmas as much as I do, the Christmas music isn't always necessarily my favorite.
Yeah.
But the ones that I really like, but there's just not very many of them.
Me neither. It's just, it's very strange. I used to work with this guy, and man, we just did not agree on anything. It was just a personality conflict. We just did not agree with each other on next to anything. It wasn't like bad or anything. We got on with it. It was just like,
Everybody's got those people. It doesn't matter what it is.
it's just not going to happen. We just didn't get along.
He's gonna like freaking whatever, and I'm gonna be the total opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally what happened. Was we would get the satellite radio and put stuff on, and my favorite day was always 60s Day and 70s Day. That's the stuff that I liked, and he would always whine about it. And I shouldn't say whine. He would fuss about it in the sense that he's like, man, I've been around too long. I've heard these songs too many times. They make me nuts. And see, that was my problem with Top 40 Day, which he wanted every day to be Top 40 Day. And the problem with Top 40 Day is if you've ever listened to Top 40 radio, you know Top 40 really only means about Top 8. Mm-hmm. And man, 8 hours of the same songs. I'm like, dude, you drive me nuts. Well, I've heard these songs my whole life. I'm like, yeah, but we're only going to hear them once a day, once a week.
Yeah.
As opposed to me having to hear the freaking Gwen Stefani.
Bananas.
Oh my God. It was worse than that. It was actually the one that her and Akon did, the freaking Great Escape thing. I heard that song 12 times a day. I'm like, I'm ready to kill everyone ever associated with this. Yep. But fortunately, nothing ever came of that. Because if you want to feel good, if you want a story that makes you happy, man, just if you don't know what Akon does in Africa, check that junk out. It's amazing, man. The charity work that guy's done there is unbelievable because it's just Akon, check it out. It's awesome. But I still hate that song.
Yeah.
But good for him. It's the complete opposite of what we were just talking about, man. It's like there's people that I don't like, but I really like their work. There's Akon whose work doesn't do it for me at all. But man, what a good dude. So that balances right out. But that's the thing, is we had that conversation over and over again, and then every single season when Christmas music comes around, it's like, man, I get exactly what he was talking about now. I totally understand it. Now, I still would not give up my 2 days a week, especially when you didn't even work one of them, but at least I understood. It's like, man, I got you. It's cool. Yeah. But I'm with you. The repetition thing makes no sense to me if you want to listen to Top 40. But the problem with that was he wanted to scam on the younger girls that came in there, and it's like, dude, this is not the way to go about it. It's just, this is ridiculous, man. That was a weird profession. It was fun. I had a lot of fun, but I probably said it on the show before. It's the only place I've ever worked where I like the customers better than my coworkers. And there were a couple of people I worked with that were really cool, but across the board, liquor stores are very fun to work in. You have to, every now and again, the sad stuff happens. Mm-hmm. But more times than not, it's a grown-up place where everybody wants to be. Yeah, exactly. It's a grown-up place where everybody knows what they're about and everybody's in a good mood. And especially if you get beer's the most fun thing to sell because people move around and try different things and really get excited about it. And it's a lot of it's really cool. I think you could probably find that same enthusiasm about wine. I just don't know enough about it to be enthusiastic. I know exactly what I like. I don't know enough about it to get.
That's why I couldn't have top 40 days. I don't know enough about it to try to carry on conversations with people that are 20 years my junior.
I'm the same way. Man, this is for you, man. I don't know. And it's not supposed to be. I'm with you. It's like.
Are Click 5 still a thing? I don't even know.
Man, me not understanding the music the youngins listen to these days is one of the very few things that makes sense. There's a lot of things in the world that make no sense whatsoever, but cyclical, not recyclable, disposable pop music not being for someone who's 38, that makes all the sense in the world, man.
I don't want it.
Exactly. They don't want me to have it. It's like if I like, it's what we talk about with how if I liked the Deadpool movie, you made it wrong.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, man.
Yeah.
If I enjoyed, like, I maybe shouldn't say enjoyed, but if it spoke to me to have 20-year-olds singing about whatever they sing about.
Maybe you did this whole ride wrong.
Yeah, you guys, the fact that I don't get it means you nailed it. It means good work.
Yeah. If you, I don't need to get on that train anyway. But some more crazy news that, speaking of stuff I don't have any place to even comment on, apparently Paul Johnson said he was going to retire.
He is done.
Today.
Paul's going to coach the bowl game.
You could probably hear downtown Atlanta just, blowing a top off of that.
The 19 people that actually like Georgia Tech, I think 17 of them were thrilled. And in an extraordinarily selfish way, I'm happy about it too, just because now I don't have to listen to people whine about the option anymore. I love it. He did great. He won more ball games than anybody since Bobby freaking Dodd, but let's not talk about that. He went to 2 Orange Bowls and won one of them. Let's not talk about that. It's all good. The guy has been, and it's like Paul Johnson retiring is like when LeBron James retires. People will still squawk and have a huge fit and bang their head against the wall over how much they hate the guy, but not with Johnson. Once Paul's gone, he'll be out of sight, out of mind. Thank God. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. But also, it's like I was telling Jared, even more selfish, but it's the truth. My interest in football over the last 10 years has waned so unbelievably that it's just not there anymore, except Georgia Tech. And now I don't have to do that either because it's just a big TV show. And if you're in the ACC and you're not in Clemson, you're basically around for cannon fodder. That's what we are. You're not going to do anything. Unless, of course, we hire the first guy that I heard suggested to get the Tech job. Well, there's 2, actually. The guy on Channel 11 was saying Brian Bohannon from Kennesaw State should get a look. He didn't say he should get the job, he said he should get a look. And I don't mind him getting an interview either, especially if he gets him a few more dollars at Kennesaw. But if you hire a Paul Johnson disciple to replace Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech, everything I just said is not true because that offense ain't going anywhere because have you seen what Kennesaw State runs? Yeah. And I love the triple option. I've always loved it. It's my thing. But I'm very, very excited about the prospect of Tech moving away from it just so people can find something else to complain about. I know the first suggestion I would make is, how come Kirby Smart's still out recruiting us? Because Kirby Smart's out recruiting the rest of the country. You're not going to catch up with them by making a change, but hey, change is getting made. It's all good. Yeah. Very cool. Oh, but hats off to Johnson for retiring as well, because well, I'm not sure this was entirely his idea. Let me tell you something. If Paul Johnson doesn't go to Todd Stansbury and say, yeah, I'm out of here, man, do you realize what that buyout would have cost you? Oh, yeah. So if you really believe that he was coerced out the door, you should pat him on the back for doing you a favor. Yeah. But anyway, Bohannon, no chance for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to hear the crybaby crap over the option anymore. And 2, I don't want Bohannon to stay at Kennesaw until they come up. I think so too, and I think they're fast-tracking their way to I shouldn't say the Sun Belt, but I'm going to say the Sun Belt. Because apparently that's the feeder conference where everybody goes. I wish that when they want to join the Sun Belt, I wish that we could comprise a trade and send Georgia Southern back to 1AA because I loved them being there, and I hate that I shouldn't say they can't compete. They had a pretty good year this year, and they were great 2 years ago, but it's just like...
It's just different.
It's totally different. I totally agree, especially when you've got Georgia State, who is what it is, Kennesaw State, which is what it is. But if you've ever been to Statesboro and you've ever been to Atlanta and you've got those schools trying to recruit the same guys, man, Georgia Southern is at a huge disadvantage just because of facilities, location, it's hard to compete with the city, especially Kennesaw. That's a great school, man. It's like super cool, and it's just difficult. Very, very hard to compete. But the other rumor, Bohannon was just a local thing. But the other name that I've seen, and it's so perfect, if you know about my ESPN conspiracy theory about the way these things work, it is so perfect that the suggestion for the Georgia Tech job is Lane Kiffin. And the reason I think it's so perfect is because he will be back in the good graces of being beneath the ESPN umbrella, whom love him and will never let him go, never give him up. They Rick Astley the hell out of him because he's just the...
It would be short term if
he's just there. Well, yeah, because one way or the other, if he's bad, he's fired, and if he has success, he'll walk out the door. Yeah. But the thing about it that makes it the perfect stop, and please understand this is all tongue in cheek. It's great for me because if he gets that job, I can really officially, genuinely write college football off my calendar forever, thank God. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. It's a cruddy thing to say. I'm too weak to just stop watching it outright. I need somebody to give me a reason. I need them to either hire Urban Meyer or Lane Kiffin, and then I can officially walk the other way. But the other thing about it to keep in mind is notice we just changed the requirements for transfers as far as how long people have to sit out last season. Bring Lane Kiffin to Atlanta and have Jalen Hurts transfer from Alabama, and then you'll have your magical story, and you'll have your quarterback and your coordinator reunited, and they'll be in Atlanta, which is exactly what you idiots want because it's the biggest market down here easily. The entire Southeastern Conference combined as a TV market is not what Atlanta is. So if you got a team in Atlanta playing decent college football, that's great for everyone at the worldwide leader, and that's what they're after. And ultimately, again, back to the main point, I can write that crap off and be done because I think I've watched college football games that Georgia Tech is not playing in. I've probably watched 3 this entire season, and I've seen a couple of good ones. But for the most part, the biggest problems I have with college football is the televised presentation is god awful. It is so bad. It's one of the places where baseball and basketball really ruin you because there is such a built-in set break for when you go to break. That's what you do. Well, you can do it on change of possession. Yeah, you can. And then your offense is ready to go, and you're in ad number 2. Which means you've got 3 more minutes to stand around and do nothing. And that's if you're there live. If you're there live watching football, it is oh my God, when Tiger Woods walks out there in his red shirt and his black pants, trying to watch a game of college football live is one of the most boring experiences you can have in sports, particularly when you consider these guys are right across the street. And they've really, really wrecked people in town for what a live sporting event can be. I would advise any of you that haven't seen the highlight reel from the Red Bulls game is totally worth your time. We'll discuss that more on the next show. Tomorrow's the second leg, and then we'll know whether or not we're in the final. But if you're watching and you're interested and you want a little quick reference, the Major League Soccer the Twitter account's got it too, I'm sure, but also their Instagram account. They put out like these they look like bingo cards. And they put numbers across the top, number down the side. And it's really cool because they basically put marks with, okay, if the game ends this score, this team wins. If it ends this way, it's quite convenient because you've got aggregate scoring, and it's interesting. I guess the quickest way to explain it is we're up 3-0. Unless New York Red Bulls win 3-0, none of this stuff matters anyway. Any score line that doesn't equal that out, if you get 3-0, you go to extra time. If Atlanta scores even 1 goal, you can't go to extra time. So then what happens is, if Atlanta gets 1 goal, just 1, New York has to score 5 to get past us. That's something to keep in mind because they're down 3-0 right now. If you get 1 on the road, that's 4. So even if they beat you 4-1, that's 4-4 on aggregate, and you got the away goal. So that's the huge thing to watch. If you're watching tomorrow, that's the huge thing. If Atlanta gets 1, it's pretty much in the books.
Cool.
So that's good stuff. But that's the bingo card. It explains all that stuff, and it's fascinating because when you look at it, there's literally there's a little gray box underneath.
Different scenarios?
Pretty much.
Okay.
And that's what's cool about it is that you've got the little gray box under 3-0 New York, and that says extra time. And it's literally the only one there is, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And then you've got like the little scenarios over here because they only go to 5. They're not going to give you a million different things. But then there's little boxes up top, and that's about it. But seriously, I mean, you think about it, man. It's the idea of them winning 3-0 is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
But even if you get there, if you give 1 up, it's not 4 you need, it's 5 you need. Huge, man. Huge. Anyway, got sidetracked. Sorry about that. But the live experience in Atlanta right now, not always in that building, but if it's the soccer experience in that building, it's just, it's not that the city hasn't seen anything like it. The country hasn't seen anything like it in a long time. It's different. It's very, very different. And one of the main reasons is there's no ads. I know that sounds crazy, but if we're just talking about a live, entertaining sports experience, there is no ads. I cannot overstate how important that is, man. And basketball, I think, does a really good job with their advertising during timeouts and things like that. They do a pretty good job. Yep. Baseball, it's automatically built in. I wish that baseball would stop advertising during pitching changes. I think that's a huge problem. Well, there's so many pitching changes in baseball. Look, man, no warm-up tosses. That's what the bullpen's for, man. As soon as they give you the call and you touch the rubber, you're going. Yeah. If that was the rule, the game would be a lot quicker. Yeah. But the reason that's not a rule is because, okay, I got warmed up in the bullpen, and now I've run out there and done my thing, and I'm on the hill, and I'm waiting for them to tell me the commercials are over. That's the reason the guys come out there and keep throwing.
Yeah.
That's your problem right there, man. I've said it before. I will say it forever. It's the way I feel. You can advertise in between innings. Do not advertise on pitching changes and just put sponsor crap all over the jersey. I don't care. It's people lose their minds over that. And it's like, guys, shirt sponsorships. Very hard to say. Yeah. Shirt sponsorships work. Yep. They just work, man. Put advertisements everywhere, make them look like NASCARs, and stop running so many damn commercials. You'll see the game go quicker. It's not a game issue. It's a broadcast issue. Yeah. And the NFL and college football are even worse about it because the biggest trouble that I've got is they have taken to running advertisements after turnovers. Like a team gets an interception and they want to run a commercial.
We'll be out of that.
Exactly. Why are you telling that team that their offense, who has to be keyed up after this huge play, needs to stand around and get cold? Yeah. It's so awful. And it sucks too because the atmosphere in the stadium completely changes because people lose interest. I mean, you have to reset 50 times. It's ridiculous for me to be saying this now because the Virginia game 2 weekends ago I actually went to. It was great. Tech Virginia was great, man. That was a very, very fun game. I'm glad the seniors went out on top. I'm glad Paul won what is now his last home game. It's awesome, man. I'm very happy about that. But it's fascinating. I think it's interesting to go to Athens and get beat up real bad. And then everybody, it's just this annual now. You got to fire Paul Johnson. You got to fire Paul Johnson. And then 2 days later he comes out and is retiring. He's doing us a favor, y'all. Because if he'd gotten fired, he'd have gotten a huge buyout. So just hang in there, man. But I thought the last buyout we had to pay worked out pretty well. I love Pastner. I think he's great. A lot of people think that Pastner only got the job because Paul Hewitt's buyout was gigantic too. Yeah. And it's like, I like Pastner. He's awesome. And the deal with Tech can't play basketball. You know what conference we're in? Jeez, if we're good once every 4 years, we'll be lucky. But I think that's a better way to do it at Tech because Paul Hewitt was very much like Chan Gailey. And Gailey is the example I always use. You got to get out and recruit the guys that Georgia wants. You got to go beat Georgia for recruits because we got Calvin Johnson that one time. You know, we got Calvin because his parents are both teachers and a degree from Tech is valuable. Yeah. As simple as that. You didn't beat anybody to Calvin Johnson. He was coming to us anyway. Yeah. You're not going to beat those guys in the recruiting trail, dadgummit. So Hewitt tried to do the same thing against North Carolina, against Duke, who has become obviously the ultimate one-and-done team of all time. You can't do that. So doing the Dave Odom, sticking back, going unusual places, trying to put a team together. Hey, man, Jay Wright's got the best program in the whole country, and that's why, Villanova's gotten killed twice this year. Yeah, it's because all of them are 17 years old, man. Where they going to be in 2 years? They'll be fine. There was some other point in there, but I don't know what it was. Oh, it was the thing about if you have not seen the TIFO for the game last Saturday, I think it was, you got to see that thing, man. It's just, there's very impressive ones. There's some like Portland always has really good ones. I like theirs. But I ain't never seen anybody go end to end. I've never seen an American Major League Soccer club do a TIFO that is literally everyone in the stadium. That's that University of Tennessee college football stuff they were doing, man. It's awesome looking. I was very impressed and very happy. Yep. And they went out and went buck wild too, and that was fun. That helps. Oh yeah, it's always fun. They usually do, man. That team, the team that's given them problems, really. I enjoyed the DC United rivalry because that's been one that, again, the Orlando thing, my buddy Darian and I have discussed this for as long as there's been an Atlanta United. We talked about it on here too, man. Don't try and create rivalries. Let that stuff happen, especially in a situation like this where you are the top of the hill. Anytime anybody comes into your building, they're going to want to beat the crap out of you. That's the kind of rivalries you want. You want to be the one everybody's chasing. Everybody wants to beat you because you're on top.
Yeah.
That's an awesome way to be. Orlando has taken, I think, a single point off of us in our existence. DC, on the other hand, we finally beat for the first time ever earlier this year. The same thing with New York. We finally beat them, man. So that's cool. Like, man, I hate you. Keep me from winning the things that I want, you jerk. Give me that patty pie. Anyway, got way sidetracked on that, man. But that's good stuff, man. It's cool, man. Atlanta's got good stuff going on now. We've got like the best, worst basketball team in the world. Dude, I'm so glad having them back. I love them. I love them. It's so much fun, man. The last 2 games, I don't know about today. I'm taping it, so I'm gonna go home and watch it. But man, for Pete's sake, who did we play 2 nights ago? I can't believe I don't remember. But it was the home game, and Charlotte. It was Charlotte.
Yeah.
It was the Charlotte game and the Miami game, and they're playing Charlotte again tonight. That's exactly what it is. But man, that Charlotte game was
Charlotte all year. It feels like.
Yeah, it's interesting because the division. You're right. We see the division guys an awful lot, but man, when you look at the schedule, it's like it could be baseball.
Yeah.
Because that drives me nuts. I hate the scheduling in baseball. I wish that we'd go back to 158 games. I wish they'd schedule double headers, a little bit more balance in the league. Because ultimately, Jared and I've discussed it before, man, I wish that baseball, in my opinion, football is the only sport that even needs divisions. Because you just can't schedule 29 games. You can't play everybody.
Yeah.
So break it down regionally and then put people in the playoff, and that's good. That'll work. But everybody else, man, the single table idea of just, okay, 1 through 8, who's got the best records, go. Man, if you schedule everybody to play each other equally, that'd be awesome. I wish they would do that. I think basketball's getting close. They keep talking about it, and it's fascinating. I think it's interesting because I already know what the excuse will be, but hey, if it's the catalyst, I'm good with it. But that's the whole point with LeBron going to the West. It's like, when is it going to be 8-8? It's like, if the Lakers have the 10th best record in the league, but they're 9th in the division or the conference, people are going to be mad about that. Okay, just go to the 16 best records then. That one's easy.
Yeah.
And I hope that's what they wind up doing. Is this better? And as far as more ammunition against LeBron, dude, the people that don't like him they'll find something. They will find something. So it's like, it doesn't matter anyway. If the game winds up in a better spot because of it, so much the better. Because people are going to whine about that fella anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You can't stop that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. He could cure cancer, and people would still pray. He could cure cancer and impeach Donald Trump in the same afternoon, and there's some people still going to complain about it.
Where you been?
That's right. Jordan could have done that. Jordan's undefeated. Jordan's 6-0 in impeachment proceedings.
LeBron got to show me something.
That's right. Hey, man, LeBron's going to need to show me something, man, while me and Michael eat this Penny LaBelle pumpkin pie. That's just sweet potatoes. I didn't mean to get that wrong. So you got to be correct. I actually like both, but that is not the case for everybody. There are some people that are staunchly Team Edward or Team Jacob when it comes to pumpkin the sweet potato pie.
Almost identical.
Yeah, identical.
Man, that's what's up.
Have a good one, y'all.
Right. Bye.